What's up, y'all? I'm back though. Part two, third generation Raider, here live and direct, and I have on the phone the first generation Raider. He was there at the Bronco game with me. He saw the debacle, but the debacle's over. Now it's on to the Houston Texans. How you doing over there, first generation Raider? You doing good, man? You doing good. So, tell me, man, what do you think about this Sunday? You know, last Sunday's behind us. We can't do nothing about it. What are we gonna do now? What things do you want to see on this Sunday? Yeah, because I mean the lately the effort though. I mean the last couple of weeks has looked very shoddy and at best, and you just want to see that this is a competent team that every week's gonna come out and look like they're gonna fight though, like they did that first game of the season.
Yeah, that's what we were hoping for, and we thought that was the right track. They were on the first game of the season. They fought hard, played well, and looked like we have backed up a little bit.
Yeah, like they backed up, they regressed a little bit. But for this Texan game, the Texans are 1-2. You know, they've lost two home games like we've lost, and this will be the third home game of the season. So I'm sure that team there is not trying to lose their third home game of the season, especially since they've had high expectations after being 8-8 the last two seasons. Everybody's picked them as be the dark horse to possibly win the division or sneak in the playoffs. So, they're kind of disappointed as we are disappointed as well in our starting the first three games. So, in this game right here, I don't know what you think though, but I got to see on DirecTV see the Texans play. And I know that their run defense isn't really up to par. Their run defense actually looks like how ours have looked over the last couple of years. I would like to really see Darren McFadden and Michael Bush, get in excess of about 35 carries in between them in this game at least.
That would be the safe way to go because our passing game with Russell not performing well and the receivers very young people, so that might be the best thing to do is just try and run the ball and shorten the game up and hopefully you can do it something with a field goal or something, and might make a difference.
Yeah, because the Texans have the worst defense in the league. They give up over 436 yards a game, and we actually have like probably the worst offense in the league, probably like number 30th. But I know since we can't pass the ball, it's probably the worst offense. So I think in this game something has really got to give. I just trying to pick my brain to try to figure out what is it that's going to make the kind of turn the tide because on the offensive side of the ball, the Texans are the eighth ranked passing offense, while we have the 14th pass ranked defense. And they also don't run the ball as well. They only get 70 yards a game, and we are over 100 yards. So I'm looking at, from what I'm seeing teams that are kind of even. But the thing that I look at is that, which kind of be an advantage to us, is that they really don't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They've only had one sack thus far in the year, and that's by Mario Williams. And as we saw last year, Mario Henderson handled him pretty well. So what things really defensively that you would like to see that we didn't really see against Denver that you want to see from this defense?
From our defense, really, I would like to see them just completely shut that run down. Make them a one-dimensional team, and that's a passing team. And hopefully we can pressure enough to pressure enough to not let them get going and make them a one-dimensional team. And we ought to be able to try and defend that a little bit better. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that as well, though, to try to make them a one-dimensional team because they have not committed to the run, maybe because they've been down in some games, so they did not have the opportunity to commit to the run. But I'm real interested to see what kind of coverage is and what kind of scheme we're going to implement this week because it seemed last week when we were at the game that the Raiders pretty much were running the same defense the whole entire game, and that defense in particular didn't work. So I would like to really see Nnamdi Asomugha line up against Andre Johnson everywhere on the field. I know that's wishful thinking, but we've seen Charles Woodson do it, and that's actually helped the team out because you cut off the best receiver off the field though. The guy, the quarterback doesn't have his go-to guy to go, to pass to in crucial third down situations.
I remember remember Charles Woodson playing that type of defense, but I've never seen Osmar play that type of defense. I don't know whether he's comfortable with going all over the field, but if he does, we need to shut down his best receiver and make and put some pressure on the quarterback and make him throw to people that he's not used to throwing to.
Well, a key matchup, I think, for us defensively, I think it's the nickelback versus their third wide receiver. They have a guy, I don't know if you know his name, but he's just coming back from being injured. He played last week. His name is Kevin Walter, and he's a good receiver that knows how to get open. And Stanford Route is really going to have to play better because so far Stanford Route has looked totally non-existent, and we don't have any other viable option at nickelback besides Stanford Route. So we're going to have to really just hope and pray that he's up to the task because Kevin Walter is actually a good wide receiver who knows how to beat coverages, knows how to read defenses, and knows how to find soft spots in the zone. So I think that's going to be real key in this game.
Probably so, and I'm not familiar with him that much, but if he is a good receiver and know how to get in the zones, that could be a problem for our defense.
Yeah, most definitely. Now let's just go a little bit into coaching, and specifically Tom Cable, because I didn't think he's lately so far throughout this season he has not really consistently called a good game yet. What do you think is from his perspective to call a good game offensively? What things and what kind of things would you like to see from the offense really, as far as I guess diversity in plays outside of the run? But what would you like to see, especially when it comes to the passing game? I think I should really say that the passing game. What kind of things do you want to see from us, our passing plays?
Well, really, I would like to just see them do a good base offense and get some good blocking and pick up a string of plays, maybe do, 7, 8, 10 plays a drive. And I believe that will take some of the pressure off the play calling. But when you're 3 and out, possibly a penalty in there in that 3 downs you have, you start backing up. It's no fun in calling plays in. It's a big letdown. It's hard to overcome that, and especially with the Raiders having young receivers and young quarterbacks that's not performing well.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you on that. Well, it seems that these teams are pretty much even. From what I'm looking at as far as all the stuff I'm reading and just from what I've seen as far as the game film, because now on NFL.com you can start looking at all the games, I'm thinking this game is going to come down to special teams and turnovers. And thus far in the season, the Raiders doesn't seem like they're winning the turnover battle. I think we created 5 turnovers, and I think have given up, I believe, 7. About 7 turnovers, 7 or 8, somewhere around there. I think this game comes to us covering on special teams, maybe making some plays in the special teams game, and also limiting our turnovers and forcing Houston to make some turnovers.
In order for us to do well against Texas, and we're going to be on the road, in order for us to do well down there, we got to win the 3 battles, that's special team, offense, and defense. We got to win those battles to try to be able to come out of there with a victory.
Yeah.
I believe if we play well in those 3 phases of the football game, we'll be all right.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Well, I'm going to tell you this, First Generation Raider. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a loud crowd because they support their team down there in Houston. For us to win this game, what score would you think that, for us to win, what score would you say right now for us to win? Even though we know it's hard to be right because you don't know what's going to happen in an NFL game, but what scoring range do you think it will take for us to win this game on the road?
I really believe on the road we need 24 points to win that game.
I agree.
At least 24 points, and we'll stand a chance of winning the game.
Yeah, I think winning something like 24-21 or 24-20 is about our best bet because, and I don't even think we can score 3 offensive touchdowns. We're going to need a special teams. We're going to need a turnover. We're going to need something extra because our offense is just not there yet. But, hey.
That's the reason why I'm saying that
All right, well, that's the deal. You guys heard it right here. The first generation me convened, talking about this Houston Texans game. We're to come back at you live and direct next week to talk about this Texan game, and we're going to talk about the upcoming tough game on the road in New York. Anyhow, I'm the third generation Raider, and that was the first generation Raider dropping some knowledge. We'll be back at you guys next week. All right, take care.